Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 909, or welcome back if you're a lovely viewer. Today, uh, well, I'm gonna be doing three videos today. One of which is my Rush collection. Second one is gonna be Simon and Garfunkel review with Jason the Old Millennial and Briar from Briar's Music Showcase. And the third one is gonna be the Papas and Mamas album review with me and Briar. Click on the video. Obviously, this is the Rush collection video. Uh, I just hold on 1 second. Thank you for the patience. I gotta get sunglasses, so I'll be right back. Okay, I just decided to move to the garage. Sorry about that. Whoever is watching. probably a little bit impatient right now, and I don't blame you. Okay, finally, video begins now. First record, in there, I'm gonna go chronological order. This isn't the first Rush album I own. This one's very recent, actually. And that's gonna be Rush's Caress of Steel album, released in 1975. Second album released in 1975 by them. First one being Fly By Night by, well, obviously by Rush, but I don't own the first two albums yet. Probably won't for the long time. Maybe if I see them at the record store for very cheap, I will buy them, but I won't be buying any Rush anytime soon, so. Because there's a lot of albums I need to buy by other artists. And right now, Rush isn't right now my big priority right now. It was until I got a handful of these albums. But yeah, this was their first album, like sort of not, I wouldn't say experimenting, but this was their first attempt at a prog album. Of course, the Necromancer is the first one. Well, their very first attempt into prog rock was on their second album, Fly By Night, and it being By Tor and the Snow Dog. Hold on 1 second. Okay. But yeah, By Tor and the Snow Dog was their first attempt, Neil Peart's first attempt into creating first attempt at prog rock. And then this album was their full attempt at it. Necromancer is 10 plus minutes of their first 10 plus minute track. And then The Fountain of Laminate, which was their first album, their first side long album song, and I think it's amazing. This was the album that nearly killed their career. A lot of people dislike it. People say it's not their. I wouldn't say hate it or I wouldn't even say dislike it, but like people consider this to be another album, another one of their weaker albums. I disagree. This is one of my favorite albums of theirs, and it's definitely the footprints of what would become their their classic period, their classic prog rock albums. This next one I'm going to show is an album that Garrett bought for me, and God, thank you for this one, Garrett. Very grateful to own this album. That's going to be 2112. This was my very first Rush album I ever owned. I've owned this for like 4 months, I believe. This would be it would be a year since I've owned this album, and what a fantastic album. Shout out to Garrett from SoundLab Studios. First track on the album, 2112. Story behind that track is last album I showed you, Caress of Steel, did so poorly. The record label was like, hey, we're gonna need you to sell out, or we're gonna have to drop you from our label. Like, if the next album doesn't do well, we're gonna have to drop you from our label. And Neil Peart, the professor, was like, yeah, we're gonna go out on our terms. If this 2112 album makes us fail, so be it. And the first track was like their big FU to the record label, and I just love that. Side 2 isn't as interesting. I love the second side a lot. It's 5 amazing tracks back to back, but not nearly as essential as the first track, the title track. This isn't an original pressing, sadly, but Sounds amazing though. Next track on the album. Next album I own goes next in the timeline. Their 1977 album, A Farewell to Kings. It's another album I just bought today, and it is fantastic. I dare to say it's better than 2112. It's my second favorite Rush album. Here's that very, very cool picture of them right here. Love this photo of the band. I feel like every album cover they have, like they always have like a cool like picture of them either on the back of the album cover or like in a gatefold, which is weird because I don't think they had a single album cover with them on the album cover, which is very, very interesting to me. But yeah, love Farewell to Kings. This is a fantastic album. Title track, even though the title track isn't as good as the title track, even though the title track isn't as good as the title track on 2112, the album itself proves itself better than 2112. Xanadu, one of the best rock songs of all time, if you ask me. Side 2 opens up with their very popular, very worth the popularity, honestly. Closer to the Heart, very good song. Cinderella Man, amazing. Madrigal is very good. Definitely my least favorite though off the album, but it's still really good. Cygnus X1, or The Voyage, if you will, is part 1 of 2. This is the first book. Second book is on the next album, which I in fact own. That is their amazing Hemispheres album, which love the gatefold on it. Love the brain. Love it. One of my all-time favorite album covers. One of my favorite gatefolds. And the gatefold has another one of their cooler photos. I just love how Neil Peart, the professor, he just has like a glow behind him, like, yeah, I'm the best. I love it. Even though my favorite member is Lifeson, his guitar playing and his music is just out of this world. And my copy came with this cool little poster. Well, at least I think it is a poster, where it's supposed to be used as a poster. Another cool photo of each band member. Of course, you got Lifeson on the left, Neil Peart on the middle, and then Geddy Lee in the right. Great photo. Lifeson looks cool with the long hair. It's so weird when I look at like when Neil Peart and Neil Peart and Lifeson have short hair in the 80s albums. And then I look back at these albums and they have like the long hair, and then Geddy Lee's like, no, I'm not shaving for a while. I love that. Here's the first 80s album. That is Permanent Waves. What a great way to get yourself into the 80s. This was when Neil Peart cut his hair. This was when Lifeson cut his hair, but then Geddy Lee's like, nope, I'm keeping my hair. Oh yeah, Hemispheres. If you want to hear my thoughts on the title tracks, briefly, first track is amazing. I prefer the first because there's the Voyage and then there's Hemispheres of book 1 and book 2 of Cygnus X1. I prefer the one on Farewell to Kings, but the second one on Hemisphere is amazing. It's a sidelong song, just like Found in a Laminate than 2112. The Trees and Circumstances are really good songs. La Via Strangiato, man, is it one of the all-time best instrumentals. There is a track I do prefer instrumental-wise by Rush. I will mention it. But this album, though, Spirit of Radio, definitely one of my all-time favorite openers to a Rush album. I know all 4 of us love this song. I know Briar likes it. I know Garrett loves it. I know Jason loves it. We all love Spirit of Radio. This is that's something we could all agree on, is that Spirit of Radio kicks freaking ass. Free Will, love that song. Probably my least favorite of the 6 tracks, but just just goes to show how great this album is. If Free Will's my least favorite off this album. Jacob's Ladder, epic prog rock song. Something Garrett's gonna mention it when we review this album. Last album, Hemisphere, is the one I just showed. It's them sort of going into really complex, intricate stuff, and they were sort of like, we can't keep doing this, or else we're gonna lose it. So then they decide, hey, let's go for a little more simpler songs, but still keep that Rush sound to us. And Spirit of Radio and Free Will are not nearly as complex as their songs before, but they're great songs nonetheless. Jacob's Ladder is them sort of doing that again, like the prog rock, and I think they still do it amazing, even though it's not as complex as Hemispheres or as La Vita Strangiato. It's still top tier Rush. Entre Nous, really great song. Different Strings is very underrated. Natural Science is even more like their other stuff in the 70s, but they were more going for a more simpler album, but they're still like, hey, we still got an edge, but we're going a little more simpler now. This is probably my favorite period of Rush, their transitional period from their more prog rock, their more proggier stuff like 2112, Farewell to Kings and Hemispheres, to the stuff that they would do in the mid to late 80s with Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, and Hold Your Fire. Next album in this sort of transitional period is, of course, their very well-known album, Moving Pictures. I mean, if you've never heard this album before, I don't know why you're even clicking on my video, unless you just want to, unless you're interested in the albums I own by them. But I mean, Tom Sawyer is one of the most iconic songs to this date. I'll put how Garrett put it. It's sounds like it's from the future. Red Barchetta, it's sort of like what I said with the Jacob's Ladder and Natural Science, where it's them doing a more proggier song, but a lot more simpler. It's like every song on this album is supposed to tell a story, hence the name Moving Pictures, as Garrett always mentioned. Love that. Like the album cover is supposed to be, they're moved by the picture. It's very cool album. I would go more into it, but Garrett always says it perfectly. YYZ, of course, as Geddy Lee would say in one of their performances, it's where we live. YYZ, great instrumental. It's like the less complex version of La Vita Strangiato, but I actually prefer it over La Vita Strangiato, believe it or not. Limelight, I mean, it's the Limelight. It's another iconic song. The Camera Eye, amazing song. It's definitely the last real proggy song, like their last 10 plus minute prog epic before the albums after it. Witch Hunt is a very epic song. Definitely is a very relevant song to this date. And then Vital Signs, which is my all-time favorite Rush song. Definitely check out me and definitely check out Garrett's review with all 4 of us, me, Jason, Briar, and Garrett review Moving Pictures on his channel. That was a fun video to make, for sure. Next album, Signals. Their 1982 album, Signals. Starts off amazing with Subdivisions. This is definitely not only is this my favorite album of this period of Rush, of this transitional period, but it's my favorite Rush song and favorite Rush album in general. And it's like, I don't know, it's for some reason I've always loved this album. Here's a cool photo of the inner sleeve of the other guys. Geddy Lee still has some of his long hair. Very entertaining to see him with long hair. Meanwhile, the other 2 Rush members sort of moved on from that. I mean, it's not as long as it was in the 70s, Geddy Lee, but still pretty long compared to the others. Like I said, Subdivision's amazing song. Analog Kid, one of my favorite guitar solos by Lifeson. Chemistry, what an epic song, very underrated. Digital Man, I love this song. The Weapon, one of my definitely my favorite of the three of the Fear trilogy. This is part 2 of it. New World Man, their one and only number 1 hit song. Definitely a good one to be a number 1 hit for sure. Losing It, one of my all-time favorites. It's like my second favorite Rush song. Countdown, even though it's my least favorite on the album, it's such an epic way to end off the album. Last album in my collection video is going to be Power Windows. Yeah, I love this album. It is a strong track. This isn't an original pressing, sadly, but it is a really good. Sounds amazing. Came with the download.
I'll be right now.
Came with download instructions. This is definitely, even though I love Power Windows to death, this is definitely not nearly as good as the stuff that came before it. The 3 Pog epics, 2112, Signal, not Signals, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, and not as good as the 3 like transitional albums that came before it. Signals, Moving Pictures, and Permanent Waves. There's an album that came before this that was in between Signals and this album. It's called Grace Under Pressure. That album also proves that. This was like these 3 albums, Hold Your Fire, Power Windows, and Grace Under Pressure are definitely their synthetic, is what I call their synthetic period, when they really like they go heavy on their pop stuff. And well, I love it, but you know, it's not as good. I love Power Windows. Don't get me wrong. It just goes to show how great Rush was. If an album like Power Windows is not what I consider not nearly as good as the 6 albums that came before it, not counting Grace Under Pressure. That album is just very middle of the road. But thank you guys for watching this video. Me, Jason, and Briar, we're about to do Simon and Garfunkel review, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. But until then, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So long.